of the United Party for National Development pertaining to the petition that was handed to the President of the Republic of Zambia yesterday at State House. My dear brothers and sisters, it is important to note that in the last 3 or so months, we witnessed a number of utterances that were being made by groupings and individuals who are associated with the Patriotic Front pertaining to the privatization that took place in this country between 1995 and 2001. A lot of insinuations and innuendos were being made by those who were making those public statements pertaining to what transpired during the privatization era. We as UPND, we want to make it very categorical that we welcome the institution of an inquiry by the President of the Republic of Zambia pertaining to the privatization that is an issue. On condition that the inquiry shall be transparent, legal, and open to members of the public to express their views without fear of being victimized. It is also important to note that this particular privatization that took place in the 90s and 2000, early 2000, was initiated by the government of the Republic of Zambia then, under President Chiluba, and it continued under President Mwanawasa and President Banda. It is also tried to state that at the time when this particular privatization took place, a number of challenges had faced the country. The government then of President Chiluba had to approach the World Bank and the IMF over the issues of privatization. As a result of the consultations that were done at the time, the government of the Republic of Zambia went ahead, privatized, and liquidated a number of companies in Zambia. The companies that were privatized and liquidated are in excess of 280 companies at the time. Members of the public must note that these companies were liquidated and privatized by a number of companies that were offered the contract to proceed and do so, and individuals, locally and internationally. We hope, this is our considered hope, that when this inquiry is done, it should not just end at looking at particular individuals who are being targeted for victimization. It should extend to everyone who participated in the privatization and the liquidation of these companies. We also want to state that these privatizations and liquidations didn't end, as I indicated earlier, with the era of the Chiluba-led government. Privatization took place during the Mwanawasa regime. You are aware that KCM was sold during that period. You are aware that Zanaco was privatized during that period. You are aware that Zamtel was privatized during the Rupiah Banda regime. It is our considered view that if we are to be transparent, this privatization inquiry should inquire into the activities of the three governments I mentioned. We also have to note that during this period of privatization and the liquidation of companies, a number of individuals were involved. Some of those individuals were in government. Some of them are still in government, holding very senior positions in government. We want to know what happened to the privatization of the Cold Storage Board of Zambia and other companies. We'd like to know what happened to Ndora Copper Refinery. We'd like to know what happened to all those companies that were operating on the core belt. So for us, as UPND, if this process is transparent and is for the sake of ensuring that members of the public are informed prudently as to what happened during that process, without targeting individuals, without being malicious, we welcome it. Because there is nothing the UPND fears over this inquiry. There's nothing we fear. But we have been hearing comments coming from surrogates of PF, making all sorts of comments over this privatization. And it's clear to members of the public who is being targeted. It's very clear. But we have nothing to fear. We have nothing to hide. Let the inquiry be conducted in a fair and transparent manner. If that is done, we'll support it. But it's also important to note that the government of the Republic of Zambia currently is seeking the assistance financially of the IMF and the World Bank. Institutions that are being rubbished in their demands for an inquiry. These institutions have been on the side of Zambia from the time we, as Zambians, attained multi-party democracy in 1991. And it must be noted that the World Bank and the IMF gave a clean slate to this process. But today, we have heard the surrogates of the PF rubbishing these institutions. At the same time, we are kneeling before these institutions to beg for funding. You hear the Minister of Finance telling the nation that they want a program of the IMF to come on board to assist resuscitate the economy of Zambia. They want the World Bank to come and resuscitate the economy of Zambia. Whilst on the other hand, they are casting aspersions on these two institutions. The current budget that is being debated hasn't got adequate funding. We are looking for financiers to finance the current budget. This inquiry has come at a time when the economy of Zambia is on its knees. I just hope that those who are handling this matter will take into account the repercussions that are going to arise from this particular inquiry. You have to note that some of these companies were sold more than 25 years ago, and they have changed hands. Some of these companies are doing very well. some of the companies have gone under. What are we going to do and achieve this through privatization inquiry? Further, members of the public must realize that the privatization era did not just target companies that were owned by the government. The privatization also affected local authorities. Assets of the local authorities in this country were privatized by government. Zambians benefited through the acquisition of houses and other assets of the local authorities. Some of those assets were given freely without any consideration to members of the public. What is going to happen? So as we search for victims in this, we should also take into account those other issues. We should also take into account that the champions of privatizations, the leaders of government at the time, are no longer with us. President Chiloba is not with us. President Mwanawasa is not with us. President Sata is not with us. May their souls rest in peace. They were major players in this privatization that has taken place. We are aware that a number of our youths are just being used in this malicious scheme without having adequate information as to what transpired during the privatization era. Let them proceed and make that inquiry. As I indicated, let it be transparent, and it should not be seen to be targeting individuals. All the companies that were privatized or liquidated must come under the net, and inquiries must be made. And all individuals, irrespective of the positions they hold in this country, they must appear before the Commission of Inquiry. Because we are aware of the roles people played. We are aware of the positions they are holding, those who were part and parcel of the privatization. We are aware. So let's be transparent. Let's be transparent in this process. If we are transparent and it's for the good of the country, we will welcome it. But if it's malicious and if it's vindictive, we will not support it. And that is our considered view over this inquiry. Let the nation transparently know what really happened. We have nothing to fear. Thanks so much.
Yeah, in case there's a question on this issue that...
my name is Kalam Shima. Good afternoon, Honorable.
Good afternoon, Kalam.
Just a quick one, Honorable. This matter was also in Parliament this morning.
Yes.
And I know very well that during the Vice President's question time, Honorable Mwiimbu raised this question. And the Vice President, in her response, said, why are you rushing to conclude that you are the ones who are being targeted? Your President, let's say, Alain Hichilema is the one who's being targeted. For them, they are saying nobody is being targeted. But you maintain that it's your President who's being targeted. What evidence do you have that indeed it's President Edgar who's being targeted? That's number one. Just a clarification. Number two, you've talked about companies, Dollar Lime and other companies of the copper belt. From what we read, speculatively we hear President Edgar Lungu was also involved. He was a chairman of some of these companies that you've mentioned. Are you also implying that this should also extend to him if indeed he was involved? Are you also directly or indirectly insinuating that President Edgar Lungu was involved? thirdly, I don't know if you're thirdly, as a party, how do you take a situation where other cadres or other interest groups have it very easy to, let's say, conduct processions? We saw the procession which was there yesterday. How do you take this while your party youths and the NDC were planning to hold a peaceful protest not long ago, but your application has been turned down by the police? Would you say there's some kind of hypocrisy in the manner in which the law is being applied?
Thank you very much, Callan. Callan, issues surrounding this matter of privatization is in public domain. You may be aware that a number of individuals, leaders of surrogate parties of the PF, have made particular pronouncements and made particular accusations against President Hakainde. It's in public domain. Members of the PF have been making similar assertions against President Hakainde. It's in public domain. Even when they were marching yesterday, we are aware of the things they were saying. Even the placards which they have or had yesterday, the messages were very clear. We know that they are targeting HH. And that is why we are saying that if this the inquiry is transparent, we'll support it. But if they are going to proceed in the manner they have been proceeding, through their pronouncements, we will not support it. That is one. Two, I've made it very clear that anyone who was involved in this privatization process must answer pertaining to the roles they played. It's a fact that the head of state also, in his legal profession, played a role during privatization. It's a fact. Facts are in public domain. The documents are there with the government and with us in the private sector. It's a fact. There are so many individuals in PF now and other political parties who were involved in this privatization era. We know of those who were cabinet ministers at the time, the roles they played. So if this process is transparent, we will welcome it. Because each person who was involved in the privatization or liquidation of the more than 288 companies will have to state the roles they played to the country. We would like to know whether those companies that were privatized by those individuals are existing or they are not existing. We have to know. That is what they are asking us as a nation to do. We'll go back to the 90s. I just hope that documents are not being doctored in this country with a view to fix certain individuals. But they must also bear in mind that these companies, a number of them were bought by foreign entities. And those documents that were used during these transactions are available. And they will be tabled before the Commission of Inquiry. There have been stories of certain individuals having sold the mines. We are happy that there will be this inquiry. Members of the public will know who sold the mines. Members of the public will know which individual, which company, which organization sold the mines. Who initiated the process of selling the mines? Is it the individuals or those who were in government at the time? Let it come on. we are there, we are available to resolve this issue, which they claim members of the public have always been talking about it. They are saying they want their companies back. We have to take caution as a country that our international image, if we don't handle this matter properly, will be dented. Our economy, which is already on its knees, will suffer greatly. The investors are now not coming to Zambia because they don't know what is happening in Zambia. They don't know. Comments are being made against the mines and so on. You are aware that it's the PF who have destroyed the mines because of the comments they have been making. And you have to note also that even under PF, they have started privatizations and liquidations. KCM is under liquidation through PF. Is KCM doing well? Is the management of KCM transparent? The answer is no. There are allegations that are coming in all the papers, private papers that stand for the truth, making allegations against what is happening at KCM, which is under liquidation. According to them, we say liquidation. We want answers. We want answers pertaining to Lapgreen. There are stories that Lapgreen now is going to start seizing the properties of the Republic of Zambia outside Zambia because of the government of the Republic of Zambia, which is failing to honor the judgment after liquidation. All these issues we want to hear transparently. They should not leave out these other aspects of privatization for convenience. We want to know what has happened. Apart from these privatizations which we are talking about, Zambians are also demanding a number of issues that must be done and the inquiries to take place. Zambians have been demanding that they need an inquiry as to how the fire tenders were bought at $1 million when the actual price is less than $250,000. We want to know. Zambians want to know how ambulances were being bought at $250,000 when the actual price is less than $70,000. Zambians want to know how the procurement of drugs at the Ministry of Health are being awarded. You have heard of Honeybee, $17 million. The drugs have gone to waste. Zambians would like to know. Let the PF do these inquiries the way Sata was doing, where he was commissioning inquiries on everything that the members of the public queried. We also want them to do the same. We want to know why the government of the Republic of Zambia are now going to spend more than 400 million on FISIP from 50 million US dollars. Where are they going to take the money? We know that under this particular program, FISIP, that's where the corruption is. Others are speculating that that's the money they will be using to fund their campaign in 2021. There are so many issues that needs to be addressed currently, which are affecting the people of Zambia. Zambians are asking where the PF is getting the money, where they are donating hundreds of thousands of kwachas every time they have a meeting. PF have become an institution which has got so much money. PF have more money than government. The government is broke, but chaps who used to wear slippers 4 years ago are able to donate monies in excess of $1 million at any one given time. Where are they getting the money from? Those are issues that are current and which must be addressed by the government if I was in government, I would have addressed those issues. We are talking about the hospitals. People are dying in hospitals because there are no medicines there. The services are poor. You go to the clinics and hospitals in the rural and urban areas, the workers don't even have masks. We are exposing them to danger. We want to know how the money that is being appropriated for the police is being utilized. The police are some of the poorest workers we have in this country, but they're exposing their lives to danger and they're not being appreciated. We want to know what is happening. So as they inquire in these other activities, we are also demanding that inquiries must take place in all these other issues that affect the members of the public. Coming to the issue of the Public Order Act, Colin. In this country, there are two laws. One set of laws that apply only to the PF, the other laws apply to the rest of the country. Even as you are here, if you have a grievance as a journalist, they will not allow you to demonstrate. But the PF, at any given time, they can rise and demonstrate, march through the streets of Lusaka without any notice whatsoever. And I doubt if there was a notice that was duly given to those people. But because the PF have got an interest in this particular matter of privatization, they allowed them to march. It's unfortunate. These are some of the things that are eroding the confidence of the donor community in this country. That is why we cannot get money from the World Bank and the IMF because of governance issues. Governance issues are key for you to access funding from the IMF and the World Bank. If your governance record is poor, they will not give you the money. And that is the price we are paying now. We are paying a heavy price. All of us are aware that the cost of living has gone up so much to the extent that an ordinary Zambian is not able to meet the requirements of life because of the cost. That is how this country has been destroyed by the PF. The PF cadres can march anywhere with the guns and pangas in the presence of the police, and the police will not do anything. Because the police are now subservient to PF cadres. The police fear that if they do anything against a non-PF cadre, they will be victimized, they will be relieved of their duties. That is what is happening. Law and order has broken down because of the impunity of the PF. I agree with you, Kalan. There is a problem in this country, the way we manage the Public Order Act.
In case there's another question, just
yes, sir.
The name, media house.
Okay, my name is Tito Kalama. I represent Spring TV.
Yes, sir.
I hate to be a devil's advocate. If it came to maybe the inquiry singling out President HH, even though you say you won't support the inquiry, what would you do if they single out HH?
Well, as I said, if the intention is to single out and victimize an individual, we will not allow it. You have to know that this country, although the laws are not respected, there are laws that protect individuals. Individuals have rights and privileges in this country. And if you feel that the rights of HH will be violated, appropriate action will be taken at the appropriate time.
Meaning?
I will not disclose what we are going to do at the time. We'll wait and see what the government is going to do.
there's a question there? Oh no.
If there are no questions, honorable colleagues, members of the press, I would like to thank you most sincerely